On stage, Mr. Dr. Moosung Chung, Chairman of the Hyundai Motor CMK Foundation, for a keynote speech.
You can pass me over, but anyway, good morning, everyone. My name is Moosung Chung from the Hyundai Motor Mong-Koo Foundation. I really appreciate for the opportunity to introduce the foundation at this wonderful forum. I'm getting a lot of lessons from your experiences. The foundation, I think, is a great fortune that the foundation has the chance to connect with United Way worldwide at the moment when we are looking to strengthen international network. I would like to briefly introduce our foundation and discuss the challenges we are contemplating for the future. The Hyundai Motor Mong-Koo Foundation was established based on the philosophy of social responsibility of our honorary chairman, Mong-Koo, in 2007. With a vision to create a happier and better future together with the next generation. We have always held a strong belief that we must support marginalized communities. In return for the support, Hyundai Motors has received both domestically and internationally. One of our main goals has been to provide them with a letter of hope through education. Now, our direction is to become a leading global foundation to contribute for the benefit of humanity in the world. Just as Hyundai Motor Group is expanding internationally, I believe our foundation should also engage in social issues on a global scale. We aim to build a sustainable society with the next generation, especially in Asian area. What we emphasize most at the foundation is people. Cultivating human resources, developing talents is our core mission. To create a sustainable future, we nurture talented young people, support eco-friendly startups, and provide a space in the heart of Seoul in Myeongdong for young people to come together and communicate each other. We refer to these initiatives as our three platforms: people, space, and knowledge platforms. Through the people platform, which is the main platform of ours, we aim to nurture 1,100 future talents until next year in 6 key areas: global, international, cooperation, future industries, social innovation, arts and culture, and social integration. For the goal, we have operated through 3 programs: top scholarship program in the country, growth supporting package, and the strengthening fellowship programs. The biggest international initiative also is scholarship programs for young people, not only in Korea, but also in Asian countries, to help nurture that young talents that can solve global issues. I think the international scholarship is a very important program, but also very easy way to support people. I met the president of Korea Chamber of Business in Vietnam yesterday. He mentioned that you can support more than 100 students in Vietnam for just one scholarship for international student inviting to Korea. So it makes me think about our program a lot. We also focus on climate crisis issues for a sustainable future by operating a knowledge platform. We support climate-related tech strategies, startups, build a network for climate issues, and share solutions for global social issues through forums to create and share knowledge for a sustainable future. Over the past 17 years, our achievements can be summarized in numbers, as you see in the slide. As of 2024, more than 100,000 people have received support from us, and the costs incurred by 2022 amount to about 200 million US dollars. We believe we have achieved significant results and almost met our quantitative goals. This slide shows the total budget expenditures for 2023. About $20 million was used last year, excluding management and promotional costs. The spending by different programs areas is shown on the slide. You can see the nearly half of the budget was spent on the people platform, mainly for scholarship programs. Our total assets are about $1 billion US dollars, consisting of Hyundai Motor related stocks and cash. With Hyundai's recent strong business performance, we expect this year's profit to be the highest ever, likely reaching nearly $500 million. Since annual profits can vary, we try to maintain our expenditures at around 300 million US dollars. Now, I would like to share our foundation's future strategy. We establish a long-term plan every 5 years. The current plan was created in 2021 and is valid until next year. So we are in the process of developing a new business structure for next 5 years. To reflect this is in the 2026 budget, we needed to set our direction in the first half of next year. To establish the long-term strategy and strengthening the foundation's identity, we aim to define our key focus areas and strategic directions. The current framework is shown on the slide. President of Hyundai Motor Group asked me to make the foundation globally active organizations when he offered this position. I believe we have grown into a foundation with significant recognition and competitiveness through our initial stages in Korea. However, there is still a long way to go. Now I asked some question to our staff. Have we grown enough internationally? Are our projects efficiently good enough? I mean, cost effectively? And are we collaborating sufficiently with external partners? But the answer is not clear yet. Through an analysis of various current issues, we have identified 4 key topics, and we are discussing the direction for each. As shown on the slide, these topics are general versus specific, local versus global, direct versus delegated operation, and independence versus collaboration. I'll explain each one. The first issue is general versus specific. We are considering whether to be a foundation that address various social issues, it means general, or one that focuses on specific problems, specific. While we seek diversity in our business areas, we primarily focus on nurturing talents for the next generation, which aligns with the founder's vision. However, large corporate foundations in Korea face diverse societal demands, making it challenging to concentrate on specific areas alone. Now we try to balance this through coordination with Hyundai Motor's social contribution activities. The second issue is local and global. There is a general consensus that our foundation should grow beyond Korea as a leading global foundation. However, there are differences regarding the timing and methods for becoming a global foundation. I believe we should accelerate this process and become global as soon as possible. The key issue is how and method. I don't think it is global to invite foreign students and pay tuition and give scholarship. Global solidarity and collaboration is necessary to our organization, I think. And the third one is direct operation or delegated operation. Most people have a positive view of directly carrying out our main projects. However, many feel that it is realistically difficult due to insufficient infrastructure compared to our budget and number of projects. This issue also requires us to find a good balance between direct operation and delegating tasks. The final issue is independence or collaboration. The main focus is on our relationship with Hyundai Motor Group. The foundation is independent foundation, which means independently founded by an individual and should operate separately from the Hyundai Motor Group. However, the founder's identity is closely tied to the company. So we need to consider the relationship between the foundation and the Hyundai Motor Group. The group's social contribution budget is at similar level to ours, and when including marketing costs, the amount to a substantial sum. I believe it's good the foundation focuses on specific areas while the group responds to various demands. For the corporation, we just started a joint workshop to discuss the wise solution. And finally, I asked the benefit of internationalization of corporate foundation to ChatGPT. The ChatGPT answered like this. There are a lot of benefits, including expanded global influence, knowledge and experience sharing, access to diverse resources, addressing social issues, enhanced brand value, network experience. I fully agree with these points. I believe these benefits empower corporate foundation to make broader social contributions and play a vital role in sustainable development. In this context, I look forward to developing a new partnership between the Hyundai Motor Mong-Koo Foundation and United Way worldwide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Now let's move on to the next panel discussion. And I would like to invite Ms. Brekha Srinivasan, CEO of United Way, Hyderabad, and the panelist, Mr. Phạm Hoàng Hải, Partnership Development Head, Vietnam Business Council for Sustainable Development, VCCI. Ms. Fleur Gripnau, First Secretary, Economic Affairs, Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and Mr. Nguyễn Lâm Thanh, Director, TikTok Vietnam. Mr. Hoàng Anh Dũng, CEO, Intreco Holdings. Thank you to our panelists, and hopefully you have a successful discussion.
Good morning, everyone. After a very engaging first half of the morning, we want to make the second half even more engaging, more thought-provoking. And we are starting with a continuation of what happened in the morning. We heard from business leaders how important SDG is, how important ESG is for businesses, and also for non-profits who are present here. We see a lot of collaborative opportunity between these two important vehicles which actually contribute towards running the society and making the place better. And we would like to take this entire discussion forward a little bit more technical than we understood the spirit behind collaboration in the morning. I think in the forthcoming sessions, we are going to probably decode some components of how do we go about doing it. And towards this, I think is this panel today, where we are going to understand what ESG is. Everybody adopts it. We saw from Deloitte's report that it is the top second priority for businesses today. And so today we are here to understand how do we do it, and this panel is going to discuss about it. Very happy to have panelists here today. Each one of them very involved, committed, and have done a lot of work in their respective area. And happy to introduce each one of them. Apologies, I might not get your name very correctly because I have not had too much of opportunity to work in this part of the region. So apologies if I'm pronouncing your names differently. Today on the panel, we have Mr. Pham Han Hai. He is from the business of Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce. It's a collective of all the businesses that are there in Vietnam. And his special passion has been in developing and promoting SDG adoption among the businesses in Vietnam. So he is going to share with us his insights of how this work is being done. Then we have Mr. Fleur Griblon. She is the first Secretary, Economic Affairs, Embassy Kingdom of Netherlands. We did connect virtually as well before we met here on the panel. They are doing, I think Netherlands is recognized as one of those forward-looking countries or the region where they have adopted sustainability practices in a much wider way. And she would be sharing with us some of the best practices they have seen and what is it that they can offer to businesses here in Vietnam and also in globally in terms of their learnings and best practices. So we would be engaging with her, discussing about it. Then I have Mr. Nguyen Lam Thanh. He is the director of TikTok. Again, TikTok, a global company involved in a lot of sustainability practices. So he is going to share with us what has been his experience as a corporate in adopting ESG framework. Then we have to make this panel more complete. We have a very, very different kind of a person with a different kind of a skill set. It is Mr. Huan An Dun. He is the CEO of Intraco. Intraco is a company which helps corporates, non-profits, whoever wants to enter into the carbon trading market. So he comes with the expertise of helping people identify projects that can be registered on carbon markets. How do you navigate it in also developing capital that is required to power this entire work around ESG. So this is the panel and very happy to have them all here. Internally, we have thought that there are two important aspects on which we would like to focus our discussion on. One is how good are the ESG practices in the corporates today? What are some of the things that we are comfortably able to do and where are we stuck? So my first question is to Mr. Pham Han Hai. Sir, you've been guiding many businesses in Vietnam in adopting SDG goals and ESG goals. What have been some of the easiest factors that companies have been able to adopt? And the second part of the question is, where are they struggling in reporting on parameters related to ESG?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. And firstly, I would like to thank you organizer for inviting me here. And please allow me to answer the question of the moderator in Vietnamese. Kính thưa quý vị rằng là ESG thì khi mà chúng ta nói đến ESG thì ở Việt Nam thì tôi nghĩ rằng là cách đây khoảng 3 năm thì ta bắt đầu nói đến ESG ở Việt Nam và cái ESG ở Việt Nam thì có nó trở nên một cách phổ biến hơn. Đấy là cái điều thứ nhất. Cái điều thứ hai nữa là ngày nay thì ESG nó không phải là một cái xu thế hay là một cái xu hướng mà để cho các công ty có thể thích làm hay là sử dụng cái ESG như một công cụ để có thể xây dựng thương hiệu. Cái điểm thứ ba tôi muốn nói rằng là ESG bây giờ nó là một trong những cái mà các doanh nghiệp đã, đang và phải thực hiện. Thế thì đứng từ khía cạnh của một cái người mà đã làm việc cùng với cả doanh nghiệp mà trong vòng khoảng hơn 20 năm qua thì tôi thấy rằng là như này. Đứng trên khía cạnh nó sẽ chia ra làm hai cái vấn đề. Thứ nhất là đứng trên khía cạnh về mặt lập pháp của Việt Nam. Thì từ năm 2015 đến nay thì chúng ta thấy rằng là khi Việt Nam cam kết với cả các cái mục tiêu phát triển bền vững của thế giới và mục tiêu phát triển bền vững của Liên Hợp Quốc SDG, thì bản thân là từ năm 2015 cho đến năm 2020 là cái giai đoạn mà sau khi chúng ta cam kết cái SDG thì chính phủ Việt Nam đã có một cái quá trình lập pháp, quá trình sửa đổi lập pháp mà để làm sao xây dựng được một cái bệ đỡ để thực hiện được những cái mục tiêu để có thể thực hiện được các cái mục tiêu của SDG, cũng như là thực hiện được những cái cam kết của Việt Nam trong cái COP21. Điều này được thể hiện ở các cái điều luật mà nó rất là được đánh giá là tương đối tiên tiến, đó là luật lao động và luật sửa đổi môi trường, luật lao động năm 2019 và luật bảo vệ môi trường năm 2020. Ở hai cái điều luật này thì nó đã quy định cho doanh nghiệp những các cái vấn đề cần phải tuân thủ, mà ở đó thì nó là những cái mục tiêu mà thực sự là doanh nghiệp có thể thực hiện được ở ESG ở một cái mức cơ bản. Cái điểm thứ hai là giai đoạn từ năm 2020 đến giai đoạn năm 2000 đến thời điểm bây giờ thì chúng ta thấy rằng là
So we see that ESG become more and more popular, become more quantifiable, and ESG are required to be supported by numbers. And this is something for Vietnamese enterprise, especially SME, are struggling in terms of collecting the data and reporting about the ESG. Of course, for the listed company, for the bigger company, they are supported by decrees or circulars indicating which areas they need to report in terms of environment, about climate change or social aspect. However, those tools also the potential for future improvement in Vietnam, and also tools for VCCI and the Sustainable Council to better support the business community. Vâng, cảm ơn ông. Chúng tôi hiểu về những điều đó liên quan đến những cái nghĩa vụ về mặt báo cáo cũng như là những khó khăn trong việc là họ cần phải báo cáo. Liệu là họ không có một cái khuôn khổ?
They have team members internally who are able to understand and report on the impact metrics that's required for ESG. Where are they struggling?
Chúng ta sẽ chia ra doanh nghiệp, nó sẽ có hai cái như tôi vừa nói, chúng ta sẽ chia ra doanh nghiệp.
As I mentioned, for the businesses, there will be two parts. Firstly, those listed company. They are supported by the Ministry of Finance Circular 96, for which it indicates clearly about their disclosure obligations. And second, for the non-listed company. So one of the framework which is currently applicable, there is a GI Standard Global Initiative on Reporting, GIR, which includes a part on the ESG. And of course, to accomplish this ESG part, it is important that those businesses need to build internal capability, internal resources. And of course, they should be supported by the commitment from the leadership so that they can accomplish the ESG report, of course, based on the foundation of the data collection and data analysis, meeting the requirement on the GIR and also ESG as a part of the GIR. And then for the SMEs, it is quite costly for them to hire the independent consultant to support with the ESG. So I think there are some challenges that they are facing. And of course, in Vietnam, backdate since 2014, VCCI and my council, we already developed a CSI, Corporate Sustainability Index CSI. So we launched since 2016 this CSI. So we launched the CSI since 2016, to all the business community so that they can have such a relevant like a framework or foundation for reporting on the ESG. For which it can be compatible to the GIR. So when we try to benchmark with the global practices, the compatibility is about 80%. And then it is also compatible to the IFRS reporting requirement, as well as a CSRD by the EU market. And therefore, Vietnamese CSI can help the businesses with a very first and fundamental step to the later stage and later step. And the CSI is also used to evaluate the sustainability index of businesses. And in the upcoming 29th of November, we will organize an event to announce the winner of the CSI. So please join us in that upcoming 29 November event.
Coming to Mr.
Cảm ơn rất nhiều.
At TikTok, I know ESG practices have been adopted very well in your company. Can you talk about what is the journey that you have had as a company in adopting ESG policies, especially specific to reporting on ESG achievements? Yeah.
Okay. I would like to speak by Vietnamese. TikTok ở Việt Nam thì chúng tôi là một kỳ nền tảng
For the question, so yes, TikTok starting with a not only entertaining but education and commercial platform as well. So about the TikTok, we have a small group of people, but we bring the regular income for about 3.7 million people. They can earn money by using the TikTok platform, serving different needs, entertaining, education, and commercial activity. And therefore, about the ESG, I want to share that among the ESG, I want to focus on the social aspect. About the CSR, about the ESG, rather than about the TikTok itself. So starting the first day of entering Vietnam, we already seek the cooperation with Link from the MSD Vietnam, and with that we already run a different program on protecting the users, and not only on the cyber environment but also in day-to-day life. So that's one activity we run about the 6 years CSP. We run some big campaigns. First of all, anti-scamming, anti-fake news, or anti-national disaster, for which we introduce different set of skills to support the users, including digital transformation, green transformation, especially for the vulnerable group or those in the disadvantaged regions. And then we also have some digital literacy programs to enhance the digital skills. And those programs are supported by different NGO and tens of thousands of celebrities or KOLs, those who have millions and millions of followers. And all of those programs are non-commercial. And the second channel, we support digital transformation, green transformation for the individual or SMEs, vulnerable groups, disadvantaged groups, so that they have digital literacy, and based on that they can earn money on our platform. So last year and this year we run two major programs. The first one, we support the agro product. In Vietnam, we have one commune, one product program, OCOP, OCOP. And in 2023 and this year, we already run about 30 provincial programs. And at each province, we organize digital literacy program so that the local people can introduce their local product onto TikTok. So they are trained, and then they are coached. They are trained. They are coached. For example, they are instructed with organizing some live stream session, introducing about their locality and then their local product. And for those sessions, we organize about 3 days per each province. And we receive millions of followers or users for each sessions. And in these years, we organize different sessions for Vietnamese product and service as well. So besides the training, we also support with about $100 in credit and a few other programs and support so that those product and service will be communicated to the relevant user. And we also organize different training program for different vulnerable groups, like women with disability, or the people with disability, or the people in disadvantaged regions. And I think we also implement different CSR activities. For example, in the past 4 months, we organized about 29 campaigns in different provinces and cities. And for those CSR, we train about 6,000 SMEs. And another channel, we call it a communication campaign, Proud Vietnam. And Vietnam is a little bit behind other countries economically. So how can we ignite, how can we spread the pride of Vietnam and Vietnamese people so that we can become more confident in like integrating with the rest of the world. And therefore it come to we organize such an initiative, so-called Proud Vietnam, to ignite, to increase the pride of Vietnam and Vietnamese people. And fourthly, it is more about the E. We are working with different partners to promote those products and services which are more green or more sustainable. For example, very recently, we work with KOL or celeb, like Helen Honey. She's one of the beautiful lady, and a few other KOL. We organize a factory tour or factory live stream for those at those companies which respect and apply different green or environmental practices. And for each of the live stream session, it attracts millions of followers. And we try to organize at least one session per year. And we not only want to introduce about those companies, but we want to give a lesson to the remaining company so that they can go greener and more sustainable. So altogether, we hope to promote the ESG, about CSR, going greener and cleaner.
Workforce more inclusive. Just as a follow-up question, one is, yes, social projects, I think we have a good framework to report on the impact that we are creating. Has it also translated into increased diversity workforce in TikTok itself? Are you able to employ more diverse groups in your company?
Ở TikTok thì chúng tôi là một cái tổ chức quốc tế trải dài trên hàng cắm nước văn phòng của Tích.
TikTok is in many countries in the world, and because of that, the transparency and the challenge for equity of everyone, it's really great, and we are open to work and rotate from the different working position and country, and we also have many programs to join the CSR program from one to another country, so that we can spread out the impact from one to another country. Xin cảm ơn ông.
Coming from Netherlands and probably adopting many of the ESG and sustainability practices as a country much more earlier than I think also been very innovative in the way they have adopted ESG and sustainability practices. As a business person who has come to support businesses here in Vietnam, what is it that your embassy or your office is bringing to businesses here in Vietnam? How would you like to promote sustainability and ESG practices in businesses, and what kind of a support comes from your office to them?
Yes, thank you so much for your question. I'm not sure if the microphone works, but oh, there we go. No, first of all, thank you also so much for being here. Yeah, let me start by saying that
Hôm nay thì được tiếng đại biểu rất là nhỏ. Anh toàn nghe tiếng o thôi em ạ. Tiếng o rất to và tiếng của đại biểu rất khó.
I think the first thing that we do is focus on capacity building. So we have, for instance, a program together with our Dutch Business Association in Vietnam. It's called Ready to Export, where Vietnamese companies, it offers a platform for Vietnamese companies to learn about international standards, but also requirements that are going to follow from different EU legislations, such as the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, but also the Deforestation Regulation. So we try to link Vietnamese companies together with experts to learn about these requirements that are coming up, so they can also, really comply with them and make them ready to export to the European market. So I think that's one of the concrete initiatives that we have. It's called the Ready to Export program, so the name says it all. Secondly, we have very strong trading relationships with Vietnam. We are the #1 EU trading partner of Vietnam, and we're also the #1 EU investor in Vietnam. So we're very happy with our strong trading relationship. We have also a lot of interest from Dutch companies coming here, and vice versa. So we have many trade missions, for example, where we also try to link Dutch and Vietnamese businesses together. Most recently, we were at the Green Economy Forum and Exhibition in Ho Chi Minh City, which was a big, a very big exhibition where we, as a Netherlands, we had the largest country pavilion. So 51 Dutch companies participated, and it was a great platform as well for Dutch businesses to showcase really sustainable solutions across a wide range of sectors: agricultural, logistics, water. So that also really contributes to incorporating, I think, sustainable solutions into Vietnamese businesses. So, just a few examples of what we do here.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Coming to you, sir. On an average, annually, from Vietnam, how many projects are getting registered on carbon market to access carbon credit?
Yeah. Good morning. Thank you for the question. And in Vietnam now, totally we have roughly 300 carbon projects registered in different platforms: UNFCCC, Vera, Gold Standard, and Plan Vivo. That 300 registered projects.
What are those projects that are there?
What project?
What projects are being registered popularly?
Yeah. In Vietnam, we have a many kind of projects. Vietnam is the number 5 top country for carbon project in the world. We have a model project is renewable energy. We have a biogas project. We have a biomass project, and we have now it's more and more. We have a community-based project like coastal, improve coastal, and water supply project. That is the coming.
One of the key things for anybody to register a project, either on Vera or Gold Standard platforms, is the kind of data that we need about the project itself and how it is going to offset the carbon footprint which the company is supporting for. So how easily or how good is the quality of data that we are getting?
Actually, the carbon credit from the project registered in Vietnam very transparency, and more and more carbon credit have been rating and evaluated by several companies. So it appear in the each platform. They have the registry to recognize, to checkable all the carbon credit.
The question to you again, related to this. What are the top 2 things that we in Vietnam, the companies need to adapt? One is to take our entire ESG practices to the next level, and what kind of a support is required to do this? One, understand that there is a capital requirement which you talked about, because if you're looking at SMEs starting reporting and following ESG norms, there is a lot more capital that needs to go into building their capacity and also their facility. How do we go about doing it? What is the 1 or 2 things that we can adopt as a group in making this possible?
Trước khi tôi trả lời câu hỏi của bà thì tôi cũng nhân thể
Before answering your question, I just say that
thực ra chúng ta
in fact
cứ nói về ESG nhưng mà
we keep talking about ESG, but we must understand ESG. It's first thing first. Many talk about ESG, but they may have not distinguish the difference between ESG and CSR and CSG and other projects that we are working on in the environmental sector. So that is one of the things that many companies, even the big companies, are not aware of. So that when we haven't got a good understanding of ESG, we cannot say we report or we can gather the data or respond to the requirement from the embassy and from the Europe and European market since 2022. There are a number of regulations on the reporting, like CSRD, IFRS, the financial distribution, and the ESPD on the vendor evaluation, and a number of the issues that are required in the report. So ESG is the risk management of all of the risk in the society and the company evaluation. So we need to distribute or allocate the resources and financial resources and have enough capacity in order to fulfill that requirement. And we need to understand the social and environmental risks and their impact on our company operation and our activity to mitigate those risks, and then allocate financial and human resources, and then we can fill in the report. So that they are the core issue in ESG, and it's different from CSR, corporate social responsibility. that the things that we do voluntarily to develop our brand and image, and it is not in the company the risk management. And this is one of the things that VCCI and the Sustainable Development Council in Vietnam is continuing to support the business community.
So thank you, and I think for Hai's comment, I think it is quite interesting. For TikTok, we invest resources on ESG, and when we work with businesses, we see some easy. For example, Oli is a big company in Vietnam, which is about 5,000 of them. I think only 1% of them have some kind of understanding and some action on the ESG, and the vast majority of the businesses have they do nothing on the ESG. And now I think Mr. Hai raised a very valid point, and this is an excellent opportunity. I would like to ask for your contact so that we can discuss further to outreach the business community, either they are big or small, so that they can be supported with the ESG issues for better consumption of their product and service. And therefore, we have millions of SME or micro SME. They also benefit because they work together in a supply chain, and because they may be a part of the importing exporting supply chain, so they can benefit each other.
You've already talked about the capacity program that your department, your office is actually planning, and you talked about some of the upcoming programs as well. Any other message that you have, like for businesses? We have been talking about what are some of the changes in their business practice or methods that they need to processes that they need to follow to prioritize ESG. Towards this direction, do you have any message for the businesses?
Yes, I think my message would be also that this is really a bit of a mind shift. I think we need to get, sustainable and social development goes hand in hand with economic development. So it's two sides of the same coin, and I think that is something that companies also need to keep in mind. Let's view ESG frameworks and also the requirements that are coming out from EU legislation as an opportunity, because if you comply with those requirements, it increases your competitiveness also to expand to international markets and particularly European markets. So that would be, I think, my final message. And if you tap into the European market, we would be very happy if the Netherlands is your first starting point.
I'm sorry that ESG is quite not easy to understand, so allow me to speak in Vietnamese a bit. In my point of view, because our company support many company to achieve and prepare the ESG report compliant with international client. Thực ra thì về phía chúng tôi cũng đã là cái đơn vị mà triển khai ESG cho rất nhiều đơn vị theo cái tiêu chuẩn nội bộ.
For different clients, either following domestic or international standard. So we see that for practical application of the ESG, so yes, it is aimed to show your commitment towards sustainability. And I think you need to do a few things. Firstly, it is environmental, and second, social, and thirdly, governance. So the name ESG itself. And for us, I think about the ESG, there are two of them for which quite difficult for the implementation. There is decarbonization, and second one, biodiversity. So those are the two very struggling issues for the businesses. So unless they are supported by professional experts. So for ESG, we can see we can deploy different consultants, but about decarbonization and biodiversity, I think it is quite hard to identify the local expert, and therefore implementation is also quite difficult accordingly.
Thank you all for thoughts. Just to conclude our discussion, I think some of the key points that have emerged as a requirement for us to take the entire pursuit in becoming more ESG compliant. One is, I think there is still a requirement for more awareness. I think a common awareness. Each of us understand ESG very differently, but collectively people doing business, people in the social sector space, people who are policy makers, all of us understanding ESG in a similar parlance, I think, is something that has come out as a emerging need. To do this, yes, we need capital. There are people who are ready to invest capital in it. Second thing which is very critical for us to move forward, highlighted by him, is requirement of talent. We need people who understand ESG, what needs to be done in this space much more than anything. I think investing in talent and promoting talent like that is also very critical. And so that's the takeaway from us. More understanding, common understanding among different stakeholders about requirement of ESG and required deployment of capital and building talent who can actually support various people in taking this initiative forward. These are the key things that have emerged out of our discussion today. I don't think we have time for questions, do we? No, I think we have run. Do we have? Okay, we have time for questions. You can ask questions directly to the panel.
Thank you, everyone. It was really interesting listening into the experiences and how each one of you as panelists are bringing in the wealth of information on ESG, especially the tracking and measurement, because I think world over, this is a major concern today. How do we measure, how do we track? Well, we all have the drumbeat of ESG. So from TikTok, I know Mr. Nguyen Lamtran has talked about the carbon credits, and you talked about how you're encouraging when they're involved. And similarly, I think the Vietnam Chamber of Commerce, Pham Hoang Hai, also talked about, I just want any of the panelists, even Fleur, to tell us 2 key challenges you're experiencing and any consultants across the globe you have come across who have meticulously found an easy way to track and measure ESG reporting. Thank you.
Ở Việt Nam thì chúng ta có 4 cái công ty.
Alright. So in Vietnam, we have a big 4. Deloitte, Ernst & Young, PwC, and KPMG. They are the big 4, for which has been and will continue to serve as consultant reporting and then also reviewing the report. So this is about the ESG as a whole. ESG complete set. And secondly, if we want to talk about the decarbonization and stock taking of the GSG and considering the solution, so there are different local companies who can support you with this regard. For example, energy audit verification of the energy efficiency, energy transition. There are many local companies can support you on this. And about biodiversity, as Anh Dũng has mentioned, or other issues about, let's say, action plan to implement the natural-based or the biodiversity-based businesses. We have many international NGO who can support, like IUCN, WWF can support you with this. But importantly, in my opinion, if you want to do this, there are two conditions. Firstly, for the SMEs, and earlier I mentioned about the Big Four who can support you. So it is about the cost. However, we should not look at it as a cost, but it is an investment, because we know that by 2024, 2025, all of the regulation on the GHG stock taking, it is not in scope 1 or scope 2, but it is about the stock taking in scope 3. So what does it mean? We need to assure that being the SME in Vietnam, you are a part of the global supply chain. You need to be a part of such a global reporting initiative or global reporting obligations. And this is an investment, not only a cost. And therefore, something we need to do, especially in Vietnam, and from the VCCI standpoint, we are doing everything we can to increase awareness, as well as working with different industry to share the laws and regulation, to share the insight, so that they can better participate in the global supply chain. And just to share with you that this year and also next year in Vietnam, there will be different laws or regulation to provide the guideline of facilitating the greenhouse emission stock taking.
Thousands of other questions in our mind. We can continue to have these conversations during our networking time. Thanks to each one of you for making this panel very interesting, bringing your valuable knowledge and insights into this discussion. Thank you so much.
I'm pleased to introduce our moderator, Mr. Alvin Even Yaw, Executive Director of Philippine Business for Social Progress, who will be leading the conversation with the other panelist, Ms. Prachi Nautial, Vice President, Corporate Partnerships, United Way, Mumbai. Ms. Võ Lương Bích Nguyên, Sustainability Manager, Communications and Corporate Affairs, Unilever, joining online. Mr. Hang Sok Kim, CEO, KCCTS and Man Club, Vietnam. Ms. Amy Phan, Sustainability and ESG Portfolio Manager, USAID, Improving Private Sector. And now I would like to introduce the panel discussion to start. Welcome on stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to our session. I'd like to invite our panelists to join me on stage. This is the second worst time to speak. So the worst time to speak is just before lunch. And this is the second worst time. Please. So again, joining us in the panel from left to right, we have Mr. Hang Sok Kim, Ms. Prachi Nautial, Ms. Amy Pan. Joining us online from Unilever is Ms. Võ Lương Bích Nguyên, and I'm Alvin Uy from Philippine Business for Social Progress. This second session is about ESG towards sustainable growth. And for this panel and for the next 40 minutes or so, we have gathered experts and leaders across business, across civil society and non-government organizations, across multilateral and bilateral development programs, working with large, mature organizations, all the way to small and micro and medium enterprises, just to see on how environment, social, and governance can really not just unlock value, but contribute to sustainable growth. Meaning, as we achieve economic or attain and accomplish and create economic value, we create even greater value for people, for planet, and all of the communities that we serve. So let me begin with a series of questions for our panelists. I probably have about 2 or 3 questions per panelist. And then for the last 5 or 3 minutes of the panel, we'll throw it to the audience in case you have questions that you can ask live, or you can also scan the QR code in your ID in case you want to ask your questions anonymously. Let me begin with Amy, if that's okay. Amy is joining us from the USAID Improving Private Sector Competitiveness and is an ESG expert. My first question for you, Amy, how can collective actions between public and private sectors enhance the ESG capacity of businesses here in Vietnam, especially in sectors with lower competitiveness?
Thank you, Arvin, for the questions, and thank you, the organizer, for giving me the opportunity to speak at the event today. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amy Phan. I'm working at the Improving Private Sector Competitiveness, or IPSC in short. We are a 5-year development project funded by the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID in short. So we work and partner and work closely with the Vietnamese government, here specifically the Ministry of Planning and Investment, who oversee the SME development of Vietnam. With like the purpose of supporting the competitiveness for the smaller business. And then for my branch of work, we provide support and collaborate with the governments to support the SMEs in terms of ESG adoptions, as well as other sustainable business practices. So I think everybody in the room kind of agree with me, I guess, when we say that actually the collective actions between the public and private sector are very crucial for enhancing the ESG capability within the businesses, especially in the context of Vietnam, where our SMEs account for 97% of the business landscape. 97% of businesses in Vietnam are SMEs, and they account for around 40% of the GDP. So for the past few years, we have seen an increasing numbers of companies with more attention to ESG and more like disclosure in Vietnam. But if you look a little bit closer, it's actually led by a lot of international companies operating in Vietnam, as well as like some very big firms, like local firms, but already like listed companies in the stock exchange. Like here in Vietnam, we do have some regulations required by the Ministry of Finance for the listed company to disclose ESG information. But apart from that, all of the other companies, especially the SMEs, all of the disclosure are pretty voluntary. Yeah. So in order to encourage the adoption of SMEs and helping them with enhancing capacity, from our experience working with the Vietnamese government counterpart for the past 2 years, we do see that is helpful to collaborate between the public and the private sector. Like in our project, for example, we have this program called the Vietnam ESG Initiative that we launched in 2022 and has been running for 2 years until now, 3 years. So it's basically kind of a fun competitions. We open the application for businesses, small and medium businesses in Vietnam to apply for. And every year we receive around 150 applications for it. We were surprised by ourselves because at first we think ESG, I think as Ms. Ling put it in her remark this morning, mystically something for the big companies. We didn't think that the SME were that passionate and that interested in ESG. But yeah, with that, so once we provide more training and technical support for them, we kind of select some winning companies and provide them with in-depth technical assistance. So every year, with the funding from USAID, we provide 2 billion Vietnam dong worth of technical assistance, around 80,000 USD, yeah, for all the winners to help them implement the ESG initiative. Fast forward until now, when we look back, what we find very interesting is that actually what the companies invested in ESG surpassed much what we promised them as a financial prize. We asked them, like, do you co-invest in doing ESG at your companies? And we take the numbers, and we do see it for many of the cases, the original incentives that we give them actually as an incentive, like giving them something to think about and another reason to go back to the board of directors and persuade them, like, hey, this might be useful for our company and maybe we can invest more in the future. Yeah, so we see that, like, with the collaboration in our work, the public actor here, mainly the government, they kind of lay out the ground for the business to have this playground to work in. So for our international friends, I'm not sure if you know, but then in Vietnam in 2002, in 22, the Prime Minister approved this program called the National Program for Supporting Businesses in Sustainable Businesses. So with the focus of business adopting circular economy, inclusive business model, and of course those doing ESG. And just last year, December last year, the Ministry of Planning and Investment issued another circular to give out the guideline on how to implement those programs. And they also did a lot of other groundwork with like legal mappings to see where in the laws ESG regulations are, and providing some assessment to see how the ESG is like adopted among the SME. But again, like from the policy to the implementation, there is a big gap. So that's where we think that like organizations like service provider, business support organizations, business association in general can like join hands together with the government to make sure that there's like the gap is smaller, yeah, between the policy and the implementation. Thank you for the question.
Thank you for that was very thorough answer, Amy. Thank you for telling us about the partnership between the US government and Vietnamese government working across the value chain here in Vietnam, from small and medium enterprises to mature and large businesses, and how we could make ESG a reality for all of these organizations. For our next panelist, Ms. Nguyen is a sustainability manager for Unilever in Vietnam. And Ms. Nguyen, the question to you is, how has Unilever integrated collective action in its ESG strategy across the value chain? Can you share specific collaborative initiatives that have significantly contributed to this?
Yeah. So thank you for giving Unilever Vietnam the opportunity to join this wonderful panel discussion and also
Nguyen,
share our
we can't
efforts.
hear you yet. Let's just make sure her audio is turned on.
Yes. Can you hear me clearly?
We still can't hear you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yes.
Can you say
So
something?
actually,
We'll
thank you
check if
for
her audio is working.
giving. Yeah.
Can you say something, Ms. Nguyen? We'll just check if we can hear you now.
Right. Yeah. Just let me know when it's okay.
Okay. Can we? Ms. Nguyen, can you say? There, we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, sorry for the technical problem, but yeah, thank you for giving Unilever Vietnam the opportunity to try this wonderful panel discussion and also share our efforts in implementing ESG or sustainability in Unilever across our business value chain with all the delegates at the Social Open Innovation Forum today. So I'm Nguyen from Unilever. I'm responsible for the sustainability management and also the implementation of sustainability in Vietnam for Unilever. Unilever has recently introduced a new sustainability strategy framework, and we are focusing on specific, practical, and achievable actions. And the 4 pillars that Unilever Vietnam sustainability strategy include climate, nature, plastic, and livelihoods. And we deeply understand that the sustainability must go hand in hand with the business development. This means that the social and environmental benefits, as well as the business benefits, must go harmonious and diversity together. And also, like from our consumers and partners' awareness in this ecosystem, we understand that the awareness about sustainability has been raised, and the sustainability action now is more necessary than ever. And it's not only the responsibility of companies, but must be the collaborative efforts of the network and also the ecosystem. Therefore, we always focus on multi-stakeholder collaboration models to create positive long-term social and environmental impact across our sustainability strategy and implementation of the 4 key pillars. So, for instance, like in our plastic pillar, which is one of the priority of Unilever in Vietnam, we collaborate with Ministry of Natural Resource and Environment, and also nearly 30 organizations, including business, NGOs, women unions, recyclers, and local governments, like to pioneer the establishment of the public-private collaboration towards circular economy models in plastic waste management. We understand that the plastic circularity must start from the producers and retailers to collectors, recyclers, and especially the public under the guidance of the government. That's why we are collaborating to manage the product life cycle, enhance the supply of sustainable materials, and also raise the awareness of community, and while promoting innovation on the national scale. And based on this partnership, in 2024, just recently, actually like 2 weeks ago, Unilever together with Ministry of Natural Resource and Environment, the British Chamber of Commerce, and the Startup Vietnam Foundation, we have wrapped up our Plastic Circularity Innovation Challenge program. So this program is kind of like one of the pioneering programs that aims to seek and promote the innovative solutions in plastic circularity value chain, and focusing on new and creative solutions to enhance the capacity of collecting, sorting, and recycling plastic packaging, and especially the flexible plastic packaging. And the program has attracted nearly more than 100 innovative solutions in the plastic circularity, and creating a dynamic ecosystem for the circular economy in plastic. Many excellent initiatives and startups have emerged from here. And not only stopping at that, we are trying to integrate the innovation into our current value chain, the business value chain of plastic, via our sustainability program. And following this, we together with USAID and EY, we are implementing a program what we call a Circle Alliance. And this Circle Alliance program is implementing in 4 countries, in India, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnam, to continue realizing the innovative solutions from Vietnam SMEs, and creating the momentum to connect into the plastic circularity value chain. And also we try to promote the effective EPR implementation and enhance the livelihood of gender equality in the circular economy for plastic. So that's all about the plastic pillar that we are prioritized. Maybe you talk a lot more is on about environment. How about the social? In terms of social, the acts in ESG, we're also working in our livelihood program and pillar. Through a collaboration program with the Vietnam Women's Union, we have implemented a microfinance fund program for over 15 years. Yeah. The capital funded by Unilever and managed by the women unions has had nearly 48,000 households with loan, and with a total revolving capital value of up to 350 million Vietnam dong. And additionally, since 2020, our Sunlight brand, the dishwashing liquid brand, has partnered with the Vietnam Women Union to bring the Women Do Business program, which provides the business skills, training classes, and open up opportunity for startup capital for women across Vietnam. So after 4 years, we have successfully implemented program in 42 provinces and training nearly 100,000 women and supporting capital of over 1,000 startup projects. So overall, either it's environment or social, or also governance aspects. For Unilever, we consistently prioritize the collaborative efforts with multi-stakeholder to achieve the lasting positive social and environmental outcomes. Yeah.
Thank you, Nguyen. Thank you for highlighting circularity and circular economy, and how to make sure that a large multinational like Unilever can really go down and work with marginalized and underserved communities, women, those in low-income households and communities, to make sure that they're part of these value chains and that we create sustainable growth even for them. For our next panelist, he is Mr. Hang Sok Kim, the CEO of KCCTS. And I have a two-part question for you, Hang Sok. The first one, how does KCCTS work with partners to scale up the distribution of green products? And how can technology and innovation be leveraged to foster more effective collaboration among different sectors in achieving shared ESG goals?
Okay. First of all, the scale up part. It's doesn't matter it's a small or medium or large corporate or non-profit or for-profit. The scale up is always hard. And whenever somebody mention about scale up, I always mention about you have to go and see our good friend Tom. We all know who Tom is. Time, organization, and money. And that's three things that key points that we need for the scale up. And the time is always same. It's always now, and always longer, better. That's the key element of ESG too. It's long-term ability. And for O is the organization, and not just that, our stakeholders. More and more stakeholder is always better. And that's why, and also trustable partners that we work with. And for example, when in Vietnam, when I do our business, I work with United Way worldwide, and also work with MSD. And in Africa, in Ghana, I work with United Way Ghana. So with working with them, I get this trust, and that trust built, considered to be very useful, because the Tom M is the money, and the money comes from our client, donors, investors, customers, and they always check on who I'm working with, and working with this trustable partnership always brings me more credibility. And working with this money side, I always try to show what's beyond their actions. Let's say there's a donor donate money on try to reduce the, let's say, greenhouse gas. I always tell them that beyond what's reduction of greenhouse gas, because when you reduce the greenhouse gas properly, with the justice, with the well plan, with the love of community, then UN SDGs is fulfilled. Many of them, not all, but some of them. And vice versa. When you try to plan the UN SDGs well, with the love of community, then one of the outcomes is the reduction of carbons. And it's better than just spending money and try to help them, because once it's reduced, it goes on. Otherwise, one-time support actually it reduced and stay for a couple months and goes back the carbons. So that's how I try to persuade. So with the time and organization and money, I try to scale up the green products, the service. And your second question was technology and innovation. And okay, so what's first? Technology or innovation? Chicken or egg? What's your any preference?
Maybe same time.
Okay, to me it's innovation, because innovation is all about heart, love. You have to be on site. You have to go there. You have to meet the people. You have to love the community. Otherwise, you cannot find anything to innovate. Once you have the love, you seeking the technology. What can I do? And technology is not something new. I mean, it's not about engineering, science, of course, including that, but also finance, policy, all included in the technology. So once you have that, we work together. For example, how I do in business in Ghana, for example, I try to innovate Gary production, agriculture, factories in Ghana. Gary is agriculture factory where we harvest cassava, and then they go through the procedures to dry it, and that's the Gary productions. And when I visit there, I noticed that there are very small things that can change everything. It reduce the energy efficiency, make the energy efficiency better, reduce the indoor air quality, make the indoor quality better. So that's how I see the technology and innovation side.
Thank you, Hong Sok. It's wonderful that you highlight love of community as a starting point, looking at how innovation and technology should work hand in hand to make sure that anyone from smallholder farmers to everyday community members can benefit from either green growth, green programs, or other forms of businesses that put a premium on not just creating economic value, but serving actual community needs. For our fourth and definitely not the least panelist, we have Ms. Prachi Notiyal, the Vice President for Corporate Partnerships of United Way Mumbai. Same thing, in the interest of time, I have a two-part question, and I hope you can also answer this succinctly. How do CSOs like United Way Mumbai facilitate collective action among businesses, governments, and local communities to promote ESG initiatives? Could you provide an example of a successful multi-stakeholder partnership? And then, if you also would like to answer this question, what strategies do you recommend for scaling up ESG collaborations in rapidly developing regions, such as in Mumbai?
A lot of roll-up of questions, so I'm going to remember the third question for the last and the first two, but before that, thank you so much for having me here. Is this better? Are you able to hear me? Okay. So when I sit here, I think I am collectively representing the network in India. While I will be speaking about my chapter, which is Mumbai, I come from United Way Mumbai, but a lot of what I am going to put across would be shared resonating ideas across the network in India. So let's first begin with the governance part of ESG. The ecosystem in India is not unified in one specified ESG law and regulation. India has multiple frameworks within which ESG dovetails. Right? For us, two of those are important. One is we have maximum traction as United Way, as a CSO, from the large corporations. We do have individual philanthropies as well, but very large corporations. So the CSR laws in the country, in India, are very far-reaching. And that, essentially, those laws have the environment and the social elements of ESG, which has a separate regulation and reporting around it. The second is the investment environment in the country, which is spearheaded by the Securities and the Exchange Board of India, which is SEBI, is the regulatory authority. The government is pushing for a lot of policy in direction of socially responsible business and investments. So there is a lot of green bonds, and there are a lot of other innovations that the government itself is bringing about. Why am I sharing this? Is because all of this is making it very contingent that responsible CSOs are able to guide action on the ground. India, as a geography, does not have dearth of CSOs. But United Ways in India are perhaps uniquely positioned as being those few CSOs that have a very wide canvas of working. And that is where our role as conveners and as facilitators becomes very important. So number one, as CSOs, responsible CSOs in the land, it's important that we spread the right set of awareness. The kind of structures that our teams have across the United Ways in the country, we have depth of expertise, we have depth of implementation in multi-sectoral areas, thematically, right? So be able to guide the corporations as to what are the best practices in different fields, so that the mandate of ESG from a long-term sustainability standpoint is fully served. That's our first lookout. Post this, because of the stature that we have, convenings are very important. How do we bring the multi-stakeholder collaborations in all of the work that we are doing? Climate is at the center of all the key discussions in the country. Climate is equally important because of the intersectionality that it presents. You can approach climate from a gender development. You can approach climate from health, from skilling. You take any number of this environment, there is an interface there. So how do we establish the engagement with the government, with the community-based organizations, and bring in our expertise, which is at the ground, to handhold all of these interventions? That's the number 2, responsibility for a CSO like ours. Next, and you mentioned Tom, and I think that encapsulates anything and everything all of us are saying, which is the resources. And resources are both in terms of time as well as in terms of actual monies. Now, here is where patient capital, unrestricted funding, catalytic capital comes very, very importantly. We've had the good fortune of having some long-standing partnerships with large corporations that have given us credibility and trust in this space. Unilever is a very long-standing partner. Since 2017, we've been doing very large programs with Unilever in India. And that's one example of it. So how does United Way bring in the necessary resources for putting the proof of concepts out, which is important because we need to continuously innovate, then scale, and then lead the continuity of sustainable work forward. For us, the horizon cannot be 1 or 2 years. Indeed, those days are past. We all need to work together and see what is it that the future holds in store for us and what can we give back to the future generations. So that's point number 3. We need to, at the end of the day, make our communities who are going to be the holders of the legacy as independent. So I guess the next point importantly is how do we drive capability within our communities? And at the end of the day, social development has to match people's individual freedom and well-being. And that can only happen when we are able to use the right set of strategies on ground during our implementation and transfer the skills we are bringing, take the vision to them, and see it being adopted and adapted forward. And the last is what is in it for us to set up the right policies. Now that's a much longer tail. We are part of that ecosystem. Each one of us in the room is doing whatever little bit that we are. In India, we dialogue both with the state government as well as with the central government. And at various points, through various programmatic interventions, we are seeking to put out the best concepts in place that can actually create scale. We need scale. A country of our dimension and our population, we need scale. And so at different levels of state government and the central government, how do we take it forward? Last thing you asked me was, what is the one program? So we've been doing since 2017 a program on waste management as also wellness centers, we call it, and this is with Unilever in low-income communities in Mumbai. And we are serving close to about 500,000 population with about 14 to 15 such centers. Collaboration in the public-private space is pretty much the example that I'd like to quote here because it's not just Unilever, HSBC Bank has been an equal partner in it. And very recently, we've also had JSW Steel, it is very large, among the major conglomerates for steel in the country, who have joined us. So 500,000 people we are able to sort of support in toilets, well-being of the communities and build the necessary human dignity in the low-income communities. So that's been my example.
Thank you. Thank you, Prachi. For all our panelists, just a general question. and then we'll try to throw it to the audience if we still have time. How can, from your perspective and experience, how can we foster more impactful and inclusive collaborations in the years ahead? How can we really make collective actions for ESG and sustainable growth a reality? We'll start first again with Amy.
Okay. Yes, thank you for the question. So I think if you ask any small and medium enterprise in Vietnam, what are the barriers for doing ESG or basically anything new? I think the tops of mind, first, they want to say we do not have information. Second, we lack of resources, finance, people, right? So I think the question here is I ask, say, ecosystem builder and those who facilitate those business, what we can do to help them overcome those barriers. So maybe 3 points I would like to share here. The first one is like data in general, because I think at least for Vietnam, for the past few years, we start seeing some reports on the ESG landscape of business. However, those mostly focus on the bigger company, the bigger spectrum of the stream. So the pictures to me personally could be a bit positive because they are big and they have resources and they're aware of like all of these concepts and really to move forward with that. But then for the longer tail, the rest of the business groups, the picture is not that. Actually, we did ask a business. So like last month we have this survey, we launched it. We asked 1,000 business, 1,019 businesses to be exact, on SMEs in Vietnam to understand their barriers, and the results shared with us is like, yeah, we do not have this, we do not have that. But basically, like a landscape of ESG is like something I think as like, say, business support organizations, we need to be aware of. The report is actually available public and for free on at esg.business.gov.vn. Now available in Vietnamese, and we're gonna share the report in English very soon. But it's like a baseline assessment of like how SMEs in Vietnam are adopting ESG, and we hope that maybe the government can take it forward and say 2-3 years from now do another assessment to see if the landscape has changed. But that's number one, so like data and information. The second catalyst I think would be really helpful is with preparing the human resources. So say if business have the mindset ready and they have all the finance to do all of this, but as people discussed it this morning, who's gonna do it? And many companies came to us and shared the concern is like, I have the money, the leadership is on board, but we have nobody to really drive it. And we're not sure we have the right people. So last week I attended this seminar in the National Economic Universities here, and I do see that a lot of like academics and lecturers start talking about the impact of ESG on businesses in Vietnam. And now they start talking about maybe from the academic side, maybe we should do something to prepare for the future generation of the workforce, to like have the skill, have the right knowledge to try all of these once they enter the workforce. So data, human resource, and last but not least, I would recommend maybe providing support not only directly for the businesses, but also for business support organizations. We work with some like local government agencies, we work with some business support organizations. Everybody now is talking about ESG. They see it in the news every day, but actually they do not really understand like what is it and how like to support business with this topic. So I think it would be really helpful to support not only the business, but the supporting organization as well. So yeah.
Thank you, Amy. Let's go to Nguyen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you for your question. So actually for Unilever Vietnam, we has been like at the center of like many multi-stakeholder partnership. And from our experience working with different partners, different stakeholder in our business value chain, we found like 3 key points that can help for successful collective actions for ESG. First is the shared direction and missions. So for us, like it's very important to find partners who have the same goals and directions and want to contribute to a mission for sustainable Vietnam together. So each partner will bring a different strength. We can be expertise, we can be like resources or a network of connections to maximize each other resources and create a greater impact than if like we do it alone. However, each partner need also have like the clear responsibility and benefits in our partnership, in our collective actions. So correctly defining each partner roles, each stakeholder role in this ecosystem would ensure the effective collaboration. The second key point would be the trust. So building trust and consistency with partners is also a key factor in nurturing a long-term and strategic cooperation. So I would share like our experience like several years ago when we started the PPC with only like 3 partners, Unilever, SCGC, and Dow Chemical, and the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment. So when we start with PPC, like we need like to start with the trust that like in 4 or 5 years, Vietnam will have a concrete plastic circular economy model to adopt, to implement. And since then, with this trust, like, we start like attracting and engage with other partners, with other stakeholders. So building trust and consistency together is like a key factor for us, like to nurturing this partnership. And the third part would be the communication and dialogue. It's extremely important to open mechanism and communication channels so that partners can communicate regularly, can share the challenges, can share the struggle together, and when necessary to solve the challenging problems together. So for PPC or recently for the Plastic Circularity Innovation Challenge, we have opened these transparent communication channels for our partners like to work together to communicate what the challenges that they are facing day to day, and also what the struggle that they have to do with when they implement the plastic circular economy model. So we can like solve the problem together and maybe like share our experience from our organization like to solve those problems. So with this communication, trust, and also the shared mission and vision, I'm sure that like ESG can be adopted across Vietnam and also across business value chain like Unilever. Thank you.
Thank you, Nguyen. If you will indulge me, I'll give 30 seconds each to Hang Sok and Prachi just to answer the question, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, since it's 30 seconds, rather than answering your question, let me just say this. My definition of ESG is 3 things, based on 3 things. Number 1, longer, better, long-term ability. So whenever my customer comes and asks for their ESG partnership, I always ask them for how long. Longer, better, and reduce the risk. Number 2 is unlimited stakeholders. More and more stakeholders is better for ESG. And number 3 is transparency. That's the governance part. So whenever I met my clients and ask for ESG, they ask for ESG, I ask, is this for your ESG report picture thing, showing off, or truly ESG, which is my 3 definitions. So that's how I work with my clients regarding the ESG.
Thank you, Hang Sok.
I'm sending you a telegram, Elvin. Collaborate, patient capital, community engagement and empowerment, reporting, transparency. I think these are what encapsulate ESG. I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prachi. Unfortunately, this is all the time we have for our session. If you would like to ask them any question, they will be here in the room. Just approach them in their tables. Again, let's give a round of applause to Amy, to Nguyen, to Hang Sok, and to Prachi. This was a wonderful discussion, and we look forward to the rest of the afternoon sessions.
Thank you very much, the speakers, for the session Collective Actions on ESG. Welcome.